Mali. Please go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, good morning. Warm welcome to all of you. Warm welcome to the members of the larger REC NITD family. Great to have all of you. It's a very special occasion. Welcome to the director. Thanks so much for being here, and thanks for all the support you've given us as initiative director. Thanks, Seetha, for taking off time, waking up early on Sunday morning and doing this for us. Okay. So very nice of you. Apart from all the support you provided in terms of donations for this initiative, it's really nice to have you. And the story some of us know about you. It's important REC knows and NIT knows. Great to have you. Welcome Ravi and Raja, who are going to be moderating the program. We are living in unprecedented. What's happening?
You're fine. We can hear you.
Yeah, you can hear me.
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah, sorry. No, we're going through unprecedented times. We are seeing near and dear friends and families suffer. Some of them go away. So the mood is overall negative. So this is a very special alumni cast because it's part of the Recall Positivity series where we have been trying to remove the negativity and increase positivity. So we've done that through a couple of initiatives earlier. This initiative is aimed at that also. We can get somebody like Seetha speaking to us. It'll increase the positivity. Given that times are tough, we at Recall were wondering, actually I had got over an illness a couple of weeks back. We at Recall were wondering how we should make a difference. And seeing all the suffering around, we decided that since so much suffering on, we at Recall should do something specifically called the Recall Cares. Thanks to Raja Ranganathan for that name. Thanks, Raja. So this is largely targeted at the Recall larger family. And by family, we include everybody, including the institute. We include faculty, staff, both permanent and non-permanent, alumni and students as well, basically. And by students, we mean students who had the requirement because if they had lost their parents or have their parents have lost their livelihoods, many kinds of. So the idea was to make sure every constituent of the larger family, we could make a difference too. So we brainstormed, we had many discussions and went back to the director and we among ourselves brainstormed to come up with a set of 5-6 initiatives which we would impact the constituents of the family, members of the family who are affected. We wanted to help them tide over this critical situation. The theme being REC NIT is one family and time for family to stand up for each other. That's been the underlying theme of this whole thing. That's the basis on which we have run this initiative. So we rolled out the initiatives to impact what we've done for the institute, whether it is an oxygen concentrator or concentrators or generators, to the students and the staff, and again for the alumni, deceased alumni support, etc., and for critical alumni and other wellness sessions also, basically. So we rolled out a funding campaign for this just about 15 days back or a little more. And I'm sure all of you have heard of it. Of those who don't know, and even if you know, it's heartening to note we have crossed 1.5 crores today in just over 15 days. Fantastic, overwhelming response from all the alumni. Really thank all of you. I think it's stupendous and really, really heartwarming because it surely shows the family cares for each other. Really, it's thanks to large donors like Seetha who have done this, corporate donors like Federal Bank Sham of the 84 batch and Kamakoti City Union Bank of the 95 batch, all have added, and a lot of individual donors, large donors who have supported this, basically because of which this happened. On the rollout side, we've been pretty good progress has been made on the oxygen generator. We have ordered the parts, maybe by during June that should get set up. It's going to be a generator on wheels. For the concentrators, we're hoping to reach 4 concentrators to the institute shortly. One has already reached. On the students' deceased family sides, we have already provided 5 more and maybe processing 1 or 2 more. Actually, that initiative has gone beyond just financial support. Mani, who leads that effort, has actually ended up organizing professionals to counsel the families on trauma. So this is really taking shape, and maybe there's really a need for the future for our alumni, Recall, to support the alumni along with the institute. On the critical care support, of course, we have had cases where we have to support family, and one of them has actually recovered. So it's been very, very heartwarming, basically. So, And we are planning to do good stuff for the staff, also be working closely with the institute. And even for the student fees, we should be ready by June, basically. So we are firing on all cylinders as far as the execution goes. The fundraising continues. We're trying to reach to 2 crores, basically. This has all been possible through fantastic team effort, actually. Now, Sai, who's the past president, has been a rock in this. He's the calmest mind in the team. He executes all that needs to be executed wonderfully. Thanks, Sai. Thanks to Raj of the 74th batch, Rajshekar Narayan, who's the ideas energy man. He comes up with the charts, the pie diagrams, keeps driving us, pushing us, etc. Actually, he's given us an ambitious plan for the disbursal. Raja Ranganathan, obviously, he's the game changer for us. In the US, he's been kind of driving this initiative, making sure the big green bucks come in, and great effort, high energy. Kalyan Raman, the process and detail man and the reach out man, has been managing to keep disciplineless. Mani, the person who's actually reaching out to the family, has a tough job. He's been doing it, and he's come up with feedback that we could support more. Again, thanks again on this. Thanks again to the director, the deputy director, Professor Mahapati, then Professor Subbayan, who's the Dean Alumni Affairs, Professor Parthiban, Professor Cinderella, who have all been supporting us in this. I would like to mention that we need to thank Vijaya Kalyan, who did the breathing session for us last year. She's an 89 batch alumnus. And there are people like Prabhakar of Suleka, who supported us in digital content, the batch ambassadors, the batch volunteers who helped us push this campaign through, and some fantastic feedback we've been getting from the batches. Thanks all. Finally, thank you to all the generous alumni who have supported this initiative and taken it to where we are. I'm sure with more support, we'll meet Seetha's challenge of $25,000, Seetha. So we should get to 2 crores. That's the whole idea. So overall, it's such a positive feeling on a Sunday evening, among all the gloom and doom. I'm sure we can make a difference, all of us together. Thank you, everyone. And over to you, Director, please. Okay, yeah.
Madam, before you start, we thought of having a 30-second remembrance for all the 17 alumni who have passed away. So we'll have a 30-second silent prayer for them. Over to you, madam.
Thank you. Thank you, Rikal. All the office bearers and the special team who is coordinating the Recall Cares initiative. Good morning to my friends from the western side of the world, and good evening to all my friends from India and around. Thank you so much for this opportunity. We are really proud of Recall and the alumni of the Institute as always, because from the time I joined, Recall has always been so helpful in whatever initiatives we take or whatever requests we've made. They have been supporting us in multiple ways, especially after the Dean Alumni Relations Office was created and we wanted to revamp the alumni relations, or we wanted to take it to a newer heights. So we are getting all the support in multiple ways. When I joined, Ravi Vishwanathan was on the board of governors of NIT. So, the list is long as to what are the contributions, but I am seeing in the last 2 years, the alumni support has been tremendous, because we took some initiative from the institute side also to connect. But this initiative is really wonderful, and it's beyond our expectations, literally. And I must congratulate the whole team of, the Recall president, Mali and Krishna Sai, Raja, Mani, and everybody else who have been doing this. And I think they are also overwhelmed just because of the support from people like Seetha. Thank you so much, Seetha, for your support. It's a huge amount of money, and it shows your commitment. And I was looking at the list of contributors, and which I've been updated once in a while. Really tremendous effort, and congratulations to Raja from coordinating from the US side, and I don't know who is coordinating from India, maybe Krishna Sai, but congratulations to them, because they started with 1 crore, but now they are doubling it. So 100% increase, and I think you are about to reach the target. So my congratulations, but then it's great responsibility now that you have received the money. It's our responsibility to spend it in the most appropriate manner and inform the stakeholders what we did. And I'm thankful that you accepted to include all the stakeholders of the institute, in addition to the alumni. Alumni, of course, you're supporting, but the faculty, staff, and students. And I asked Rikal to include the neighborhood, because we are here to help our neighborhood as well. So I'm glad they took up the neighborhood also as the part of the big family. And I'm glad the institute is supporting in whatever way we could. And as I said in my last interaction, that we have publicized this event, even in the meeting of all IIT, NIT, Triple IT, and ISER directors, around 85 people with the minister. So this, I gave it as an example, and then they all appreciated. And I said, as I said, 15 of us spoke that day, 15 directors spoke, and I think I am the only one who mentioned about the alumni contribution. So wanted to thank each one of you, because this oxygen generator, which we are developing with the support of the alumni, is going to be very useful. The oxygen concentrator is a welcome addition to the institute hospital, and the help to faculty and staff and students. We are collecting information, and the neighborhood. So all these are very, very important activities for us, because we want to show that we care. Also, I just wanted to inform that institute also has been doing whatever we could, because the best example is we have provided 2 of our major buildings. We have a Golden Jubilee Convention Hall, which has a capacity of 5,000. That hall, and we have a classroom complex called Orion, which has 36 large classrooms which can accommodate 150 students each. So these 2 buildings we have handed over to the district administration of Trichy. And I'm very glad to say that the Chief Minister inaugurated our COVID care center, and it has been in use from 22nd May, and a lot of COVID patients have been brought here, but then we have completely isolated it with barricades and with a separate entry. So it has no connection with the campus, because we wanted the campus to be safe. But this is our contribution to the Trichy administration, and they're very, very happy with it, that we have provided such a beautiful premises. That is one initiative. And vaccination drive we have been doing for all our staff and faculty, and all the outsourced workers also, free of cost, in consultation with the district administration. So day before yesterday, we had a vaccination drive where 18 plus, we got them vaccinated, around 250 of them. All these little initiatives we have been doing as far as possible. So I wanted to once again thank each one of you for the initiatives, and I'm sure this will be put to good use by the institute. And I wish to thank each one of you, especially Seetha Raman. I'm sure this will inspire many others to do the same thing. Maybe if COVID is going to be there for a while, so I'm sure this money will be put to good use. once again, wishing you all the very best. Stay safe. We don't want to hear any more, bad news from any one of us in the family. So let's pray for that. Thank you very much. All the very best for the session. Thank you.
Sai, you
Thanks,
muted.
Doctor.
Sai, you muted.
Thank you very much, madam. Over to Mali to introduce the moderators and take it forward.
Thanks, Sai. See, this introduction is a bit of a problem for me. When you have to introduce guys whom you've been so close to, hanging on in the same floor, same wing, it's really a tough job. I thought about it and said, it's like standing in front close to a mountain. You'll end up seeing only the surface. So I know these guys so well, Ravi and Seetha, that guys, we pull our each other's legs so often. To formally introduce them is a bit of a task. But they decide to step aside, keep a distance, and think about what they've done. And only when you step aside, step back, and realize the enormity of their statures, basically. I've never said this to either of these guys, honestly, till now. So I find it a little odd, but that's the truth. Seetha, is really something. You know what? He's a man who's touched lives in every which way you can think of. What he did in being the founding member of the Photoshop team, I don't know how many million people have used it. So in that way, he's touched so many lives till now and continues to touch, and the number is growing. And I understand Photoshop is being used to many more contexts than it was any searched for at the beginning. So Seetha, you have touched lives in a million ways. And with his give back effort, he's touching other people's lives in such a big way. And the beauty about Seetha, he hardly talks about it, basically. Only in this case, since it was REC, we've got to know. Okay, I'm sure he does stuff which you don't know of, and he set aside a fund for that, does it in a very structured way. Thanks, Seetha, so much for again to me that listening to him should be inspiring for all of us. So that's Seetha, because I'm not going to talk the technical aspect because I don't know much about technology. Ravi, I think, will do that. And as far as Ravi goes, Ravi is the live wire. Former Chief Marketing Officer of TCS, currently CEO of TVS Supply Chain Solutions. And if anybody can communicate, it's Ravi. And if anybody can draw out anybody, it's Ravi. And especially with Seetha, they go really, really long way back. So I think we're going to hear a lot of interesting anecdotes and trace the path from when we were on the same floor together to the current journey. It's going to be interesting. And I'm sure Ravi will draw the Adobe Photoshop story also. Raja Ranganathan, okay, I'll tell you. I keep telling Raja, I love his energy. And he's been, along with Sai, the game changer of Recal in many ways in fundraise, because setting up the non-for-profit in the US with the tax breaks, NITT USA or whatever it's called, has been the game changer in our funding drive, I can tell you. Without that, we couldn't have got this, because many people would have not given in rupees as many people, and the tax benefits there and contributions there are something Raja is, I think, majorly responsible, thanks to Sai's support and the earlier Recal team, basically. Thanks, Raja. I think a lot of what's happening today is because of the hard work that you and Sai put up. I think Raja knows Seetha. I think what I understand is Raja's daughter and Seetha's daughter went to the same dance teacher, Bharatanatyam teacher in the US. So they have a connect beyond this. They have family connects. And Raja is extremely warm, high energy person. Okay, so I think we're going to have a lot of energy in this. Before I hand it over to Ravi and Raja, I just want to make sure I mention Vani and Ganesh of the Secretariat, who have done a wonderful job working till the middle of the night doing this. Thanks, Vani and Ganesh, for this. Over to you, Ravi and Raja, please. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, our director. Thanks, Mali, professors, alumni friends, team Recal Cares, office bearers, and wonderful students. On behalf of Recal Alumni Association, I once again extend my warm welcome to each one of you. Hope you and your extended families are well in these unprecedented times. For the broader audience, I think Mali talked about it. I think for the broader audience here, some of you who may not know, almost everyone in this world knows about Photoshop. People may not have heard of Adobe, but Photoshop has established itself as a great brand over the years. In the photography world, and in fact, why? Even we all use Photoshop as a verb as well as an adjective in everyday's life, especially when you see some postings that comes from WhatsApp, etc. Man, this is Photoshop, right? If you happen to look at the credits of all the versions of Photoshop, there is one name that stands out. That is Seetha Narayanan. who is a team in himself, a passionate scientist, an innovator, a jovial, what do you say, a human being with a warm personality. In the batch of 1984 mechanical engineering, all the way from Tuakudi, REC, he came to US, and the rest is history. I take pride in knowing him and welcoming him for today's session, along with Ravi Vishwanathan, my partner in crime, for the today's session. Ravi is a batchmate of Seetha, and he knows him very well. Hence, I want him to kick off the first set of questions, when we go to Seetha. But before that, before I hand over to Ravi, few house rules. Please mute all your audio. Feel free to post your questions on the chat window. We do have a Q&A at the end of the session. We shall address every question. In fact, we have got more questions on the, when people registered, so we will take that also. If you are not seeing, this is my personal request, if you are not seeing any of your batch or classmates on the Zoom window, please do ask them to join this session. This is just an hour session. We are assembled for a great cause. But with that said, Ravi, over to you for the first set of questions to Seetha.
All right, thank you. And I hope I'm audible. So firstly, I actually want to acknowledge the amazing efforts from Mali, because he spoke about everybody else, and obviously he can't talk about what he does. So he's been a phenomenal source of energy in this whole campaign. And every day he and I touch base, he would tell me about the incredible stuff that all of the REC alumni, NIT alumni are doing across the globe. It's just amazing to be part of this family. You feel so humbled being among such amazing people. So let me get out of that and get to my friend Seetha. Actually, many people don't know this, even probably in my batch. I kind of knew Seetha even before he joined REC Trichy. So I had this neighbor of mine who was studying in IIT Madras. So he one day comes and he says, "Hey, why don't you come home? I have a friend of mine also here." And I go there, and there is this guy, and he says he's in IIT Madras. By the way, I'm going to leave IIT Madras. And I'm thinking, what kind of a nerd is this guy? He doesn't want to be in IIT Madras. And then I said, so what, Seetha, what are you planning to do? "Oh, ma, I'm going to join REC Trichy." And I'm thinking, here are people I know when I was in first year preparing very hard so that they can write JEE the next year so that they can get into IIT Madras from REC Trichy. And here is this guy who's actually coming the other way around. So my first question, Seetha, actually, did you really want to be in IIT, or did somebody force you to write this JEE? You've told me the story, so I think it's good to hear this.
All right. Let me first of all, thank everybody for inviting me. It's a great honor. And very honored to be here with all the REC alumni guys, tireless workers. Of course, Molly, goes without saying, very kind-hearted person and works tirelessly to get. So get it out of the way now. so the question is, did I want to write JEE? Yeah, of course, everybody did, right? So I wasn't very happy with my rank, of course. And obviously the people in IIT were not happy with the rank either, because they wouldn't even rank me. The first thing they asked me is before they ask the name, ask what's your rank? I'm like, oh, the senior guys will look at me and like, what's your rank? I'm like, oh, it's 4 digit. Oh, 4 digit. This guy's not worth ranking, So they wouldn't even ask any questions. So great. I had some great 3 months, but not only the senior guys, your own batchmates would have the same issue, right? They'll ask, hey, what's your rank? Like, come on, man, this is not the place I want to be. So I just did not like it. I was there for 3 months and I quit. That was the best decision I ever made.
So then you come to REC Trichy, right? So you're one of these mavericks, really, right? Even then, I used to think of you that way, that here is this guy who is like moving away from IIT Madras. There are people who would even probably go and do nondescript courses, and you will tell me that's what you were doing, knowing you. But and then you come to REC Trichy, and then tell me, what was your immediate impression? Did you really feel good about it, or did you say, "My God, should I stayed back in IIT Madras"?
Never. Actually, I felt pretty good because the people are warmer. I felt, right? So even though I was out of IIT Madras was close to home. Actually, I was a day scholar there, so I didn't miss home, right? Whereas I missed home and I went to REC, right? It was like 200 miles away. But the people there, the students, immediately connected with them. So yeah, after like a semester or so, I felt like homesick. After that, that was home, So that was not even a comparison there.
So your family was okay with this, Seetha? They were okay with you moving from IIT to REC,
Absolutely not. I didn't talk to my father for about 2 years after that. He didn't talk to me, of course. He was upset.
So good. So you were in REC Trichy, and then you chose. I have to ask you this question, and you chose mechanical engineering. So what was it about mechanical engineering?
Hey, that's what everybody did. Okay, that has the highest scope.
Hey, you never did what everybody did. Come on.
Yeah, but see, then I would have stuck with the naval architecture, right? Not very many people did in IIT. So
you could have done electronics and communication like some of us did.
That requires too much brain work.
Ah! All right, great. So Seetha was this fun guy in college. Everybody loved to hang out with him, and he had this amazing ability to irritate people, right? So he would go to an examination hall and come back, and when the paper was very easy and all of us were celebrating, he would just be dismissive about it. But if there's a tough paper, he will like take a lot of pleasure in finishing it in about an hour and a half and come and, hey, how's the paper? How's the paper? How's the paper? People are just irritated because it's such a tough paper. And then you say, what? How come you took 2.5 hours? Right, Seetha? So you had this peskiness in you, right? Some sadistic pleasure you had in doing this. Tell us about it.
That was back in the day. So I had my, what do you call the edge, you may want to call it, right? Make sure you lose it. You want to lose it, right? So this is what I thought of IIT when I went there. Those guys were like asking for your rank before you asked for your name, right? I thought I was mature. Now you're telling me I was not even mature enough for REC.
So Raja, here is your, that was the closest that we could think of a nerdish character, because he was not a nerd by any stretch of imagination in REC Trichy. Okay, I don't know whether he was ever a nerd, because he has always been NS Seetha, whatever we call him after that. But that's who he has always been to us. Not a nerd really, but so that he's been in Adobe and been like the architect of Photoshop, it's a matter of tremendous pride. But he is your average next door guy, really, for all of us.
Yeah. So Ravi, I think that well said. That's what I just wanted to change the lane to the next set, right? I think, Seetha, you came from, from Trichy mechanical all the way to US, at Carbondale, and did some engineering, and also, did some computer science. I think not many of, the people here, I think, not aware. I would like you to start maybe explain your journey, you coming to Carbondale, from there, what you did, and how did you land up. I think if I recall, you joined a company by name Crystal Graphics and then to Adobe. If you could highlight how the journey, and also, within Adobe, right? I think, when the Knoll brothers invented Adobe, I mean, they were the first, the inventors, how you took over and then changed that entire perspective. You changed the entire perspective of the Photoshop. I think if you could share that, and then we can set the ball to roll from there.
Right. See, even after we finished, after I finished our for REC Trichy, the bachelor's, we had like about 6 months time before, we could do other things because of this 4-year, 5-year thing, right? So I ended up in Carbondale. We'll discuss about some of these things because Ravi may want to have something to say, right? So I got into Carbondale. I always wanted to do computer science, but since I had mechanical engineering degree, I couldn't just jump into computer science. Nobody will give me assistantship. So I had to pay the dues by doing a master's in mechanical engineering. Then I did a master's in computer science, and then everybody went to California. So did I. So the first job I got was Crystal Graphics, 3D graphics and animation software, which we did on DOS, and then we ported that code back. So once that was done, like I'm 2 years into that one, and my boss at Crystal Graphics moved on to Adobe. And he called me one day, say, hey, you know what, there is a position open for, like a Photoshop Windows engineer. You want to join? So what is Windows? You're like, oh, I hadn't worked on Windows at all. I just Mac and DOS. So I went through the interview process, and then they hired me and everything. So I was actually, they were trying to, the first version of Photoshop from the Knoll brothers had shipped at the time. They were working on version 2. Everything was written on Object Pascal. So they wanted to take it to Windows. So back in the days, they didn't have a thing called a cross-platform development. So if you write for one platform, and then you have another team that will write the entire thing for the other platform, because the UI frameworks, everything was so different. So they attempted a couple times, and then they gave up. So I got hired, and then with my boss, Peter Mill, at that time, and we were trying to figure out how to do this, but we didn't want to do any kind of straight out port, because that is not scalable. Because what will happen is a Mac version will come out, and then the Windows version will leapfrog, and then the Mac version, like you take the features from here to there, and it is never sustainable. And then you cannot have a file format, that is portable across machines. So we had a lot of issues for not taking that traditional approach. But back in the days, we didn't have a thing called a cross-platform development. Nobody even had thought of it or done it, because it was not a concept. So we decided, we thought, like, hey, why don't we do something like a cross-platform, a framework kind of thing? We set it up, So there was a thing called Mac App that was part of on the Macintosh. They're like, just take it and then just make the edges for Windows and try to make it work, just for Photoshop. Surprisingly, it wasn't that hard, So we took it, and then we took another level in the next release, and so on. We made it to a point that you write for one platform. You don't even care about platform when you write code for Photoshop right now. So you just write, and then it work on both platforms, right? We have actually multiple platforms right now. We have like iOS, Android. They're working on all kind of stuff right now. So, but my Adobe journey, right? So.
Hey, Seetha, hold on to your Adobe journey, okay? Because I think your American journey itself is still incomplete. I think it's got to be told. So, the man was actually fairly.
I want to say one thing. Let me say one thing. Just allow me. So the claim to fame, is its long name on the splash screen, right? So suppose if Satya Narayanan and Sivaramakrishnan got the same job that I did, he would have been just as successful, and his name would have been even longer, would be more famous than I am, right? So I don't think it's such a great thing or whatever what I did, because anybody would have grabbed the opportunity and run with it. That's what I'm saying. Go for it.
Yeah, Ravi, go ahead.
Okay, so Seetha, this is trivia, but I'm not going to ask him to talk about it. So he used to actually be a kind of a he could dabble in a lot of sports. He was also in the music team. He was our SPB in REC Trichy, so he would participate and compete for REC and all the inter-college stuff. So he was this like, where did this guy land from, right? So he was incredibly good academically. He was pretty good in most of the things that he did. And then when we passed out, the guy had jobs in every possible company, right? ONGC, Oil India, you name it, and all of these were high-paying jobs. And he would just trivialize it by saying, you know what, I'm going to Assam to attend this interview because, these guys are paying you a lot of money just to come and attend the interview. And there are other people who are really saying, hey, somehow I should land this job. And at one point, I think he had 6 or 7 offers. And then he goes and gets this job in Maruti Suzuki, which was like the hottest job at that time. And everybody is like happy for him because, he's been wanting to, join Suzuki, support his family and all of that. And then one fine day, he accompanies another guy and goes and attends an interview in a nondescript software company, or let me say lesser known software company. And they offered him a job, and then he takes it. The only problem was that Suzuki was offering him at that time about $2,700 a month, and this company was giving him $1,000. Now it's no brainer, right, where he goes. So let me just pause here, and then Seetha can actually talk us through what was going on in his mind. And the dad who had just stopped talking to him for 2 years and just restarted when he was in 3rd year, he's just come out of college after 4th year and joining this lesser known brand of software. Just wanted to understand what is going on in your head, what happened in your family. What happened between him and my family, between his family and me is a different story, but I'll talk about it later.
All right. So right after we finished, we had this grace period of 4, 5 months, 6 months before the fall started, right? So I was writing all the public sector exams. I thought I was going to get into IIM Ahmedabad, one of those things. Yeah, I thought I would be a great manager, but I was totally wrong. So God has ways of knowing. Now, like, he knows that, like, he knew that I wasn't going to be a good manager. So obviously, I cracked the CAT exam. I got interviews from all 3, and I failed all 3. So I got rejection. That was great. That was very, very disappointing. And I got a lot of jobs, but I wasn't interested in any of those things because I wanted, if I'm not going to get into IIM, at least I want to be a programmer or something. So, and this guy Ravi and I went to every single computer company those days. And then you used to write these IQ tests. They give you IQ tests. Like, you take this test for an hour or so, 2 hours, and then they give you a job right away. They correct the papers and give you a job. Okay, no interview, nothing. So if you crack it, so we got a job in a company called DSRC, and that paid about $1,000. By then, I had about offers from about 10 or so public companies, public sector companies, paying good money. And see, going to US was not even an option. Actually, I didn't even think of it. In fact, I got my passport in 3 days, thanks to my friend Ravi again, because at the last, see, when I got 1,000 rupee job, and then I used to go there, and Ravi used to come to my house. My dad used to look at him like a villain, like, this guy made him take this $1,000 rupee job, he had all those things, here it is, So finally he relented and said, you know what, if you get into the US, just go, I don't want you to be in this 1,000 rupee job. So that's how my dad's like, finally, like, he said, go to the US, because he blessed at that point.
Let me just jog his memory. He was being very nice. His father used to actually tell me that, tell him when I walk into his house, he'd say, I've been telling you not to join with this guy. Why do you have to be in this guy's company? He's going to only spoil you further. I'm glad that I had that opportunity. But it's like we had lunch in some hotel that day, and we're coming back to work. When we're coming back to work, his brother is standing outside the office, and he's super excited, and he says, Seetha, you got this admission, and he opens the letter, and it says he's got to be in the US in the next 10 days. So we're all very excited for him. I said, Seetha, you should just go home and get ready. He said, yeah, I'm going to take half a day off. And then suddenly he thinks and says, oh my God, I don't have a passport. And I'm saying, what on earth are you talking about? How can you not have a passport? Yeah, I mean, it costs money to get a passport. I didn't bother to apply for one. And I was like, what the hell is this guy thinking, right? And then, of course, a lot of things fell in place, and he managed to get his passport in 3 days. But it didn't stop there, right? So he has a visa interview on a Monday, was it Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday morning. And all of Monday, I'm the expert in how to not get a US visa, okay? So I've already been to the US embassy 5 times or 7 times until then, and they rejected my visa. So I kind of counsel everybody on what not to say in an interview. So I kind of spent the whole evening with him, and I'm very happy for him. Next morning, at 6 o'clock, you go to the embassy and stand in the line. And then at 8 o'clock, I'm getting ready to go to office. And this guy is coming wearing his dhoti and cycling home. And I'm saying, Seetha, what happened? Seetha, you want to complete that sentence? He actually slept. He completely overslept, and he blames his mom for not waking him up on that Tuesday. But that Tuesday turned out to be pretty bad, right, Seetha?
Yeah. That lady, the consular lady, was a pretty mean person. She actually was known for rejecting almost everybody. So that's the reason, like even a guy who had got fellowship from MIT got rejected for visa, for God's sake, from IIT, So it was pretty bad days. Getting a visa was the hardest part of the whole process of going to the US.
So you're not desperate to hang around in IIT Madras. You were pretty cool to be in REC Trichy. You were not desperate to go to all these fancy, high-paying companies. You would rather go to lesser-known brand, get into software. He and I wrote COBOL software. I'm very proud of that. And then, probably many people don't know this, right, Seetha, that you actually had an admission in the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign.
Right.
But you decided, hey, you know what, that's not for me. So it's completely counterintuitive. Man. Everything you do is counterintuitive.
That's a nuclear engineering thing that requires a lot more brain. So I didn't want to do that.
Okay.
And therefore, you went to University of Southern Illinois at Carbondale.
Southern Illinois University, Carbondale. It's actually, I met my wife there, so it has to be good.
So one of the many women in your life, right? I mean, I meant your mom and your wife and your daughters and your sisters.
Yep.
I know you're very close to all of them. Yeah. So Raja, maybe you know a little bit more about that part of Seetha, the family man.
Family man. I think, yeah. So before I get into that, the family portion, I think I wanted to just move to a different, the topic that is of the focus for today, right? I think I wanted to understand more Seetha, the giving Seetha, right? When I say giving Seetha, I think, giving back, back to the alma mater or for other, organizations. I think Simon Sinek always says that, I think in his book, how brands like Apple continue to innovate and win the mind share and market share by saying, why you do what you do, right? Why you do. So you have a big heart. I mean, giving also needs a big heart. You have a big heart. Can you share the why and the what of the action that you have been doing to create the impact in the society, basically that giving back? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I see. I always see glasses half full. In fact, my girls, my daughters, they got me a T-shirt says, "I'm a glasses half full kind of guy." So everywhere I see, I don't never look back. What could have been or anything. So look forward, right? So I count my blessings. I'm in good position. I have good family, good wife, good kids, good job. So many things. So you look around, people are not as fortunate as you are, right? So it's good to give back. It's like, if anything you can do a little bit, it just makes you feel good. It's one of those joy of giving. So when you give to somebody and see the smile, and it gives you immense joy. So that's one of the things, and it's been my father has been that way too. So it's something that it's just inherent, and it's very pleasing and very heartwarming to see so many of our alumni, contributing to this one, and then we raised close to 2 crores in 2 short weeks. That's pretty amazing. So joy of giving is something that if you haven't experienced it, you should.
Okay. So Seetha, so charity begins at home, right? I think definitely, I mean, you need to get support of the families. I think, your wife and the kids. So how is that? I mean, is it well aligned or it is just you or a different person to do this?
No, it is well aligned. It is well aligned. My wife is 100% behind my charitable endeavors and whatever I do, she wants to make sure that I do send to the right charity, that I do.
Okay, that's interesting. So Seetha, I think on that note, right, I think you have been in this country, I mean, US for quite some time. You're looking at different alumni associations. And now coming back to NITT USA, I think, we established this, we got it, a 501c3 nonprofit. We are doing a lot of initiatives, right? Whatever we can, I think, in the shortest period of time. Is there anything that you have an observation, how this alumni association needs to work, in terms of giving back, right? We have a lot of other initiatives we are doing. Is there anything, inputs or suggestions which you wanted to just shout out here?
Right. So, the concept of an alumni association, and the impact that could have, I learned about it after coming to the US. So every single college, any university people go to, they're enormously proud of their heritage, right? Wherever they go, they wear it on their sleeve, right? Southern Illinois University, Carbondale, Salukis. It's one of those B-rated universities. It's not even one of the top schools at all. It's actually the bottom rung of the ladder. But people wear the hats and the T-shirts, and there's a huge alumni association. They collect a lot of money too, and then they do a lot of good things. They have set up scholarships and everything for the students. They do a lot of good things around it. So the alumni association is a big deal in the US. If you look at one of the topmost universities, it's not for alumni association, is University of Southern California. It's USC Trojans. So they have this great football team, and the sports culture is there. And There's a slogan, Trojans help Trojans. Basically, if you are a USC graduate and you end up in an interview, if the interviewer is a Trojan, you get the job. Basically, they don't even ask any more questions. So this is how the alumni network is supposed to work in a way, you know. So this is a good start for us, because you look at IITs and we compare ourselves to IITs a lot, right? Oh, we are better than IITs, or just as good or whatever. Well, I think they have marginally better alumni network than we do. You know, this is one thing we should fix that. You know, get everybody. It's a family. Think of it as a family, right? You know, that you grew up in here, and then you get out, you go out and get your own things, but it's a family.
Okay, sounds good. So I think I'm tracking time also, Mali. So I think we are good, right? I think we're tracking good. Asai, Mali, because I have a few more questions. Ravi, anything which you wanted to?
Sure.
You know,
Keep going, Raja. Keep going.
Yeah. So
maybe another 5 to 7 minutes.
Okay, good.
sure. So Seetha, maybe we should spend the last few minutes talking really about Adobe Photoshop, right? So matter of great pride for all of us, whenever we used to open Adobe Photoshop, you know, I used to always say, hey, that guy, you know, he and I, we are buddies. We were staying in the same floor. We were hostel mates. We lived in the same area. And I'm sure that's true for almost everybody in our batch. And now I guess it should be true for everybody, not just in this call, but the extended family, that people should be very proud of the fact that probably the most used software in the world, Adobe Photoshop, across, you know, the heterogeneous population, that credit out there, Seetha Narayanan, that man is from REC Trichy. It was a tremendous pride. And I used to always be very, very proud right from the time when Photoshop, was it 2.5, version 2.5 is when Seetha Narayanan burst into the scene on the credits, Seetha?
Right. That was the first version of Photoshop, right? On Windows.
And that's when it was going to be both for Windows and Mac.
Correct. That's the first version. Correct. Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
and
that was really
so you guys have been actually pioneers in this whole journey, right? You guys were talking about Adobe Photoshop at a time when there was nothing called digital photography. Nobody even envisaged today's digital photography, you know, even a tenth of what is happening today in 1993, 94. So obviously, you know, you guys were very visionary. You were able to see far into the future. But just tell us this, you know, initial journey. How exactly did you guys go about?
It's actually the opportunity comes in and you have to grab it. That's one of those things, right? Photoshop started as a desktop publishing product. Like back in the days, people have to, like, if you're a graphic, if you're a publisher, you need to hire, like you need to go and rent out hourly basis the image setters. It would cost you hundreds of dollars per hour just to sit there, and then you need to get those printouts in a hurry before, you know, that's how you published. So the Macintosh came in, and then that kind of democratized the digital publishing for desktop publishing thing. So Photoshop, one of the first steps, Illustrator, Photoshop, InDesign, you know, back in the day it was PageMaker. So these three things enabled, with a laser writer and a Macintosh, people could actually publish. It is all for publishing magazines and newspapers and all those things, right? So photo editing is kind of like, Photoshop is called Photoshop, but in order to bring the photos into Photoshop, you need to have a drum scanner or a big old flatbed scanner or a slide scanner to get in. So for getting the photos itself would be like have the trouble, right? So, and then as we introduced a thing called layers, you know, which we can, like, you can composite and you can let your imagination run wild, and then you can create whatever you feel like, right? So even once that opened up the avenues, and then a nice thing happened called the World Wide Web, the internet. So where you can put graphic, graphically rich content on the internet. So Photoshop fit right into that slot. It's like, oh, you can use Photoshop to create all these creative work, right? See, when that got us through to the end of the 90s, when the digital cameras came in, that made it so much easier for the images to get into Photoshop, and that created the whole explosion. So the thing is, we capitalized on the opportunity every time that it presented itself. So, for example, Kodak, which invented the CMOS, which is what the digital backend that you guys use on digital cameras, was actually invented by Kodak in the 80s, and they actually mothballed it because it was going to cannibalize their film sales. So 10 years later, somebody else picked it up, and then digital cameras it became popular. And in a short order, like 3 or 4 years, the film cameras became obsolete, and Kodak, you don't even know about them anymore. So when an opportunity presents, you should cannibalize your own business and keep going. That's one of the things. So it's called what is it called? There is a word for it, like you disturb or whatever, you know. The marketeers can tell you what that is.
Okay, disruption.
Disruptive innovation. Okay. Yeah.
Disruption.
Hey.
Okay.
Yeah, but Seetha, just wanted to clarify that you are not a photographer by any stretch of imagination, right?
Oh, no.
You don't need to be one to be a Photoshop genius, right?
No, absolutely not.
So you hardly know anything about photography and all that, but still you write some complex code which makes even somebody like me look very handsome in some of the pictures. So how do you guys go about thinking about it? Maybe you can help us understand this layers technology a little bit in layman's language, because I know that layers was a breakthrough, and also because it's probably one of the biggest features that you have, which carries forward all the way to today's version 2, right? So maybe you can explain the thinking behind the layers concept, the feature called layers. Right?
Layers is basically a bunch of transparency. You guys use transparencies back in the days, right? So a transparency is like you write something in there. You can lay a transparency on top of each other, right? And then you get the final thing. So that is a layer. Layer is basically a transparency, and then you have multiple transparencies laid on top of each other is your final composite. So that's basically what it is, and that is key to doing any kind of creative work these days. Without that, you wouldn't be able to get all the things done. You possibly could get done, but you wouldn't have the reeditability, and you wouldn't have the what do you call the freedom to go back and change something if you change your mind, because you have to know upfront what you want to do, and then you build it up. And in any of the intermediate steps, if you make a mistake, right, you have to start all over again. If you don't have to do it.
Seetha, is it true that there is a lot of code that you guys wrote in 91, 92, 93, which is still running around in 2021?
No, absolutely, yes. So we periodically refine our code for the modern times, and then when the technology changes, we want to incorporate those things, like the parallel processing, GPUs, anything. The technology changes, we put them in there, right? So how the code, we take some of the code that's been obsoleted because some of the hardware and operating systems don't exist anymore. We move them over, but the code remains the same.
Okay.
So just a philosophical thought question, Seetha. Having worked in Adobe for so many years, I know you'll never say that, hey, I'm the guy who wrote this, and I know you don't believe in that also, right? So what really, in your view, in the 25 years that you've been around in Photoshop or more, the biggest thing that you have given back to Adobe?
Like I said, I see glasses half full. I bring a positive energy to the team, right? I'm one of those glues, right? Things may go bad, but I lead by example, right? This is one of those things I learned from my other boss, Peter Merrill. Like, would be working. So when I first joined, Adobe, right, in Photoshop, that guy wouldn't give me any work at all. He just give me throw some breadcrumbs, like a dog, do this, because he didn't trust me enough, right, that I could achieve. It's one of the rookie guys. Those guys had a lot of experience, and I used to wait, and I'm like, come on, man, Peter, I can do it, right? And then he wouldn't trust me, but he would be working late, and I couldn't go anywhere, and I couldn't even waste my time on Facebook those days because it didn't exist, right? So my only choice was to either go home or stay there and pester the guy, which I did. And eventually he got stuck in some gnarly problem that he had to ask me, hey, can you look at this and help me? And I'm like, oh, I figured it out. A few other things also happened. And then he trusted me so much, he dumped everything on me at that point. They're like, oh, you take care of it, man, it's good. So the thing is, you lead by example. You do a lot of work, and then people draft, off of you, and then you can get this positive energy field around you, right? So you can actually achieve more than the sum of the parts. So 1 + 1 is greater than 2. And I've experienced it in several releases of Photoshop. Like, how in the hell were we able to get that thing done in such a short time? Because it's teamwork, a small team, but everybody believes in each other. It's all complementary, and then you cannot even let them go home. Okay, it's how the positive energy works so well. And again, the Photoshop is the team is a second family to me. It's home away from home. I never once felt like it's work. I need to go. Sunday evening comes, I feel like, you know what? I feel terrible. I had to go to work. No, never once felt that way.
Okay.
And I also heard that you kind of like all these fast cars and you drive to work or something like that. Is that what you do? Or something like that?
Oh no, I ride bicycle to work.
You take a bicycle to work. So
Yeah.
you stay like what, 2-3 kilometers, miles away from work?
No.
It's about 11 miles from home. So it's about 17 kilometers, and I do every day.
So you kind of like cycling. Okay, so you kind of do what, maybe 5-6 miles a day cycling?
What? Right now, since I'm semi-retired right now, I do about 37 miles a day. 37
miles a day?
Yeah, about 60 kilometers.
You're an amazing human being, Seetha. So it's fantastic talking to you. You know, you're a pride of RE623. It's such a privilege to talk to you. Giving is not easy, and you've shown the way. You're such a huge catalyst of change. You've been truly inspirational to a lot of people in Adobe, around Adobe, in the communities that you are in. And you continue to inspire all of us. So, such a pleasure. And I absolutely, thank God for giving me the opportunity to know you and be such a great friend. Amazing, Seetha. Thank you so much. I really bow to you. Thank you.
Thanks for the kind words, Ravi. It's kind of weird hearing from a good friend like this.
Seetha, I think, in the interest of time, Seetha, I think I have two questions, targeted questions to you. I think, so far, I think the way you explained and, your journey at Adobe and, from your personal life, everything, right? Great. Definitely, I think, when we asked the people to register on the, for this session, everybody said, instead of asking a question, many people said, you are an inspiration. That's what they said in the please ask a question to the speaker. So since you are a great inspiration for all the youngsters today, why except for everyone, is it something which you wanted to advise? I think, you have been from the early 90s, and all the way to, in the current digital revolution that we, which we are facing. So is that something advice if you wanted to give it to all the youngsters and the students, a lot of students are, I think watching, what that could be?
Right. Opportunity presents itself to everybody, sometime in your life. So you have to grab it and run with it. Sometimes it may not appear that it is the opportunity that you're looking for. You have this ideal of a job or something that may not fit what it is. You may think that it is beneath your dignity or whatever. But sometimes when you take that as a challenge and do the best, right, that itself may work out to be the case. Because I was doing 3D graphics, okay? So doing 2D was I thought it was a step down, going to do seriously. Because my job in crystal graphics was heavy math and all those things. I'm just this beneath my thing. I was doing so much good stuff there. Why would I want to do this? And then I joined here and I find out it's all about operating system, Windows, all the grunt work, right? So God, I got it, but there's a challenge in it. You just take it and run with it. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, great. I think thanks. I think we have a Q&A session. I think we are on the top of the hour. But before I wanted to get into the Q&A session, I think you're a great ardent, I think, film music lover, right? I think, I've seen you, singing, and the best part is, all the lyrical content. I think, all the 70s and the 80s song. So before we open the house for Q&A, I want a small snippet from you, maybe a couple of lines, some Tamil song or whatever the language which you like. I think I know. Other than Tamil,
Put me on a spot here.
Can you sing for the audience? Or why not? I mean,
I'll try.
Okay.
I missed the pitch there. See, this is what happens when you do that.
Okay.
உன் பார்வை ஒருவரும் பனி விழும் மலர்வனம் உன் பார்வை ஒருவரம் இனிவரும் முனிவரும் தடுமாறும் கனிமரம் ஏஹே இனிவரும் முனிவரும் தடுமாறும் கனிமரம் பனி விழும் மலர்வனம் உன் பார்வை ஒருவரம்.
Okay, thank you, Seetha, thank you. I think really appreciate that. I know this is like I didn't want to put you in the spot, but I think
Yeah.
I think a lot of requests came from other audience. Hey, Seetha has to sing a couple of lines. Anyhow, I think it's a great session. I think in summary, I think your energy, your passion, and the can-do attitude, definitely I think it sparkled across our conversation. Both when Ravi asked you and also I asked you. I always flaunt. I think Ravi also said that. I always flaunt within my circle, of friends that he's from my alma mater, and I know him well. Whenever we talk about Photoshop and things like that. And once again, thanks for all the contribution. I think more than the contribution, I think you have done to for the recall, because you also inspired others to donate. I think so. Once again, big thanks. Now I think it is time to open the house for questions. So Kalyan, can we? I mean, of course, definitely. Whoever wants to ask a question, I think you guys can unmute and then ask the question. We will take one or two questions from the audience, and then we will move on to the chat window question.
Yeah. So what I also thought is I kind of aggregated, Seetha, all the various questions. I mean, like Raja pointed out, many people simply wanted to tune in and listen to you. That was a big bulk of it. But I've kind of aggregated it into three broad themes. One is, what are your 5 key takeaways from REC? And what exactly, how does REC stand in USA in terms of a brand, and what exactly is there on that particular piece? So that's actually question number 1. Question number 2 is actually a little bit more personal. What is the most trivial but important decision that you took in your life on that? And what is the power of serendipity? When you exited the gates of Tuakudi, and Ravi has given a lot of stuff there, what exactly did you look at life? How do you think life would actually fold out? There's one more question which I'll come to it a little later after we go through.
Yeah, I think I would I would answer one at a time, because I forget the questions afterwards. Because
yeah, 5 key takeaways from REC.
REC, 5 key takeaways from REC. Okay, REC, my opinion, right? So I was in IIT for 3 months. I know I somehow felt the people, the students at REC were warmer and somewhat more mature, right? So this is one thing I found. And there's 4 years that I was there. We were given opportunity to like clubs and so many other things. You go in as a boy and you come out as a man, right? So you're like, that's an adult, right? Go as a boy, come out as an adult, and that growth of 4 years in REC was huge. So there is not a thing called the cutthroat competition and all the stuff that you hear about in IITs. We're not there that much there in REC. People are competitive, believe me, but people are also helpful.
Right.
So don't go hide your books somewhere in a library or something so you can't find it. Right. So when I was trying to look for a chemistry book that I couldn't afford, and you have to look for, if you want to look for chemistry, go to the history or geography section, you'll find all those things because people would have hidden it. So that something like that meanness was not there in REC. That is my thing.
And what is the perception of REC as a brand outside India? I think that's the related question.
No, to be honest, I haven't heard anything positive or negative because our visibility is not there.
Okay. Okay. And the other thing is serendipity. When you left REC, what exactly did you expect? How did you expect it to unfold? While we don't want to, we know what actually happened. What was your thought?
You know what? To totally honest, you don't have all these expectations and everything there. So you just want to get a job, right? So right. I expected that I would get into IIM Ahmedabad. That's what everybody wanted to do anyway, right? So right. I'll be lying otherwise.
Yeah, IIM's loss is the world's gain. Actually, I think that's.
No, I wouldn't go that far. Actually, there is a thing called fate or like
destiny.
Happened for a reason, right? Because I don't think I would have been cut out to be a good administrator, manager, or whatever, right? I've gone to IIM. I wouldn't have been,
Right. And so the next bunch of questions is actually for the younger generation. I think it's basically come from all the students mainly. And the first of this goes as Adobe Photoshop it's now a critical filter in a curriculum by day. Do you agree with that or not? It's an important part of a CV filter, and it's a skill which needs to be in the biodata. What's your view
Well,
on
if you
that?
want to be a graphic artist, right? That is in the workflow. Whether it's a video workflow or is it in a publishing workflow, any workflow you name it, a web workflow, a mobile publishing, so many things. Photoshop is there. It is the critical piece. It's in there, right? It may not be the critical piece, but it is in the workflow, right? So if you want to be a graphic artist, UI designer, or any kind of designer, then yeah, you need to have Photoshop on your resume. Yes.
What kind of skills do you look for when you're hiring in an engineer?
Good question. Actually, I look for good attitude because above average intelligence is good enough, and an attitude, a can-do attitude, like whatever it takes, we'll get it done. But they may not be the Einsteins of the world, right? So I've had like some guys, like super duper smart guys, that actually bring down the team because of their negative attitude towards the whole thing, right? Whereas I've had people who are like, yeah, above average, okay, but they will just give everything, and then we've gotten enormous productivity out of them. It's joy to be around, and those kind of people, right?
Because we also have one more before we close the session. I have one more announcement. So audience, is anyone wants to just fire a question to Seetha?
All right. The second prize goes to Midun Martin from the Department of Architecture. That's brilliant artwork. That's fantastic artwork, Midun. Congratulations.
Okay, now here we go with the title winner, whatever, first place.
Wow.
It's a winter, Christmas winter, beautiful. The first place goes to Veera Darshana at the Department of Architecture as well. That's a beautiful snowy night. Fantastic artwork. Congratulations, Veera.
Thanks, Hamid.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, great. So now over to Kalyan. I think we have one. We'll take one more question and then we'll move to the the money, etc.
Yeah, we have one final question on the industry and where it is going, Seetha. The basic question is where exactly has Adobe stood in the last, let's say, last 5 years, and how is it fared versus competition, and where do you see it go in the next 5 years? So just to kind of put it into a small time slice of 2015 to 2025. What's your take on that? That's really the aggregated question.
Right now, everybody is doing AI/ML these days, isn't it? So we'll probably be doing that too. Probably we've been doing a lot of that already. So it's take the media to the next level. Mobile platforms are huge, and people are going to be creating and consuming. Like till now, mostly the mobile platforms are for consumption. Now they're becoming a viable creation platforms too. So you'll see a lot more of the creation tools appearing in the platforms, and then a lot more of AI/ML integrated into the thing to make your task lots easier, to get from point A to point B. So all those magic.
He has been interacting with all the deceased families and also to their families and helping them in critical care and also post-trauma care. So maybe I want Mani to talk about that. Mani, so my question is, what is the current situation when you interact with them? How do you feel it, right? What is that you're getting out?
platforms are huge, and they're going to be, people are going to be creating and consuming. Like till now, mostly the mobile platforms are for consumption. Now they're becoming a viable creation platforms too. So you'll see a lot more of the creation tools appearing in the mobile platforms, and then a lot more of AI ML integrated into the thing to make your task a lot easier, to get from point A to point B. So all those magics will happen. Of course, things are going to be a lot faster too.
Okay.
Raja,
Yeah.
I have a question of money. Do you want to ask the question of money, Raja?
Yeah.
Manikandan.
Manikandan, yeah.
So, I think if you look at, I think in the past 3 weeks, I think when we started this Recall Cares, and also we had a lot of bad news from our alumni. Here is one person, Manikandan. I think he has been interacting with all the deceased families and also to their families and helping them in critical care and also post-trauma care. So maybe I want Mani to talk about that. Mani, just can you, so my question is, what is the current situation when you interact with them? How do you feel it, right? What is that you're getting out from them?
Raja, as we know, I have been interacting with the deceased alumni families to identify the support required for the families by listening, giving information about Recall Cares initiative, and more importantly, encouraging the family of yearly help seeking. One of the deceased alumni family members did not know how to communicate the message of the alumnus death to his 9-year-old special child for more than a week. Then we understood the challenge the deceased alumni family is facing and connected them with our DIA Major General Suresh Karsan, who is also the president of Autism Society of India. He helped the family to overcome this challenge, and they communicated the message to the special child. And he is also providing necessary support to the deceased alumnus family, connecting them with the relevant NGOs, and even some of the deceased alumni spouses requested Recall Care support for referring their resumes. We are working on the same to support the deceased alumni families on a sustainable basis. We have the plans to stay in touch with them in the future.
Thanks, Mani.
Thanks, Mani. I think that's quite, I think it's intriguing, I think, in the way you go through this, on a daily basis when you talk to all the families. So I think we are, so Kalyan, I want to take one question if you have any important question. Otherwise, what our plan is to document all the response. There are certain things we can always, go back to Seetha and get, and then we can publish back to the groups, right?
Sure.
So with that said, so over to Sai for word of thanks. You wanted to?
Thank you, Raja. I'll make it quite short. Thank the alumni, staff, and students of REC NIT Trichy for their large participation today in the Fireside Chat with Seetha, which was exceptionally moderated by Raja and Ravi Vishwanathan. Special thanks to our director, Dr. Mini Sajid Thomas, and the Student Council and NITSAC team for going the extra mile and participating in large numbers.
Hello?
Yeah. Seetha's challenge for charity was such an inspiration for all the Recall Cares team and our alumni family, as it forged a stronger collaboration among us. Thank you, Seetha, for the challenge, and we are confident that we will meet the challenge very soon. We have only 24 hours to go, and I'm sure whoever is listening will rise up to the challenge and make you cut the check for the $25,000. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank all the alumni who contributed to the Recall Cares initiative. Did you know that this was the first time in our history that we had more than 500 alumni contribute as of now? And out of the 51 batches that have graduated, we have 43 batches who pitched in. So which is a fantastic achievement. And when there is a common cause, I'm sure our REC NIT family and community come together. Thank you one and all. The Recall Cares initiative will have a long-lasting impact in many of the deceased alumni families and also the students and the community around NIT Trichy. It will also help many of the contract staff and other non-teaching staff at the campus as well. Our final goal is to reach 600 contributors. We have crossed 500 and we are only about 85 to 90 to go. And I'm sure in the next few days we will reach that milestone and we will end up reaching our goals of helping the community at large. As Rectians and NITians, we all share a common bond that will be etched in us for life, and the size of a family will grow each passing year. Thank you all for your overwhelming support. Nandri, NIT Trichy rocks. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you everyone. So before we sign off, please do donate. I think we need another 100 donors, and I prefer more USD to US dollars to come in, because in that way I think we can get all the matching from Seetha and other people. Even if you have donated, I think go a little extra mile. I think we have a lot of causes, I think that are in the annual, right from helping them from critical care all the way. In fact, we are thinking of setting up some ICUs within the campus, so which Mali and the other Recal are talking about it. Please open your wallet. I think it's a great time. PayPal information, Zelle information. If you're in the US, I think it's already on the chat window, but we keep sending it in your WhatsApp groups. With that said, thanks a lot. And for the people,
Raja, mention the rupees in the UPI also, please.
Oh yeah, right, rupees, yes. Yeah, you can send it by UPI. Okay, you can send it by UPI. Of course, State Bank, if you want to do a wire transfer, I think IFSC code, I think all the data is available. So with that said, I think we have gone past the time. I really appreciate everyone's patience. And thanks, Seetha, for sharing your insights. And Ravi, I think I appreciate, you just, moderating along with me. So definitely we look forward to see you in another, I hope, I think the COVID wave 2 will come down in India. We'll see with another interesting personality to have and as a part of our alumni cast. And with that said, I think for the folks in the US, have a great long weekend. And for the folks in India, I think good night. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Seetha.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ravi.
Thank you all.
Thanks, JB. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Ravi.
Well done. Great job.